Hello everyone, here at OS and VTXreviews.com. Today we're giving you our full video review of the Mach Speed Xtreme. This is a 7-inch Android 4.0 ice cream sandwich-based Android tablet, and it runs with a 1.2 GHz single-core CPU. In addition, it has 512 megabytes of RAM and 4 gigs of flash storage. It also has an expansion to add more memory via a microSD card slot. So those are the basic hardware specifications. What makes the Mach Speed Xtreme tablet really interesting is definitely its price. The MRSP price of this device is under $100, which is really inexpensive for an Android-based tablet. I know this is a very cheap and generic product, but still, under $100 in retail locations like Sears, that's pretty impressive, to be honest. Considering just a year and a half ago, we saw the Arcos 7 home tablet being priced at $200, and that was also a very low-end budget tablet at Best Buy. And so you're getting cost reduced almost 2 times, and you're getting a product that's much better under the hood. So the Xtreme is made by Mach Speed, a company that's not very well known. In fact, when we did an unboxing video, you couldn't even find any signs of the manufacturer name. It just says Xtreme. That shows that it's not a very well-known company, so you are a little dubious when you pick up this product in terms of the quality and expectation level. That said, it is a very inexpensive device, so they have cut off a lot of corners. You can tell by the packaging it's very generic and empty and void. Picking up the device itself, it looks like a love child, very small version of something like the Acer Transformer or the Asus Transformer. It looks something. It's very generic. There's nothing about it that shouts out a lot of attention, but it is a slate form factor that we've come to know. It's got a 7-inch screen. Unfortunately, the Xtreme is powered by a resistive technology, which means you do have to get your fingernails in there. The resistive technology is getting more and more extinct in this era of capacitive screens and high-end tablets, but this device does have a resistive to keep things really low in terms of pricing and ergonomics. Otherwise, we have an entirely plastic construction. The frame is made entirely out of plastic, which is it's okay because it makes the device really lightweight and portable in your hand. In addition, it's very slim as well, so we do have to give the manufacturer kudos for making a move in that direction. Unfortunately, though, the plastic is too encompassing in our opinion, and sometimes the edges do creak, so when you're holding it in your hand, the quality doesn't feel as good as it should be. But weight is distributed really well, and overall it's a portable handset that works, and the design works as advertised. On the top of the screen, you will find access to a webcam or front-facing camera. It's a 1.3 megapixel. It's a very basic one for chatting and also for picture taking. Because this is Android 4.0, you'll find that there are no hardware keys. All the keys are located on the bottom for navigation of home and menu systems. On the left-hand side of the tablet, you have access to a stereo speaker system that's pretty loud. Sound quality is okay. It's not that great. Still not that good as you might expect from something like this. And on the right-hand side, you do have access to both a microphone, a 3.5mm headphone jack, in addition to a microSD card slot and a micro USB for syncing information, because this device, believe it or not, uses a separate connection port which is proprietary just to charge it. This comes included in the box, but this is the charger slot. It's tiny. Not a great fan. I wish they could just combine charging and syncing into the one micro USB provided. In addition, you have a power on and off key on the right-hand side. It's very small. Thankfully, it's risen above the surface fairly well, so it's easy to press. On the top of the device, you have access to a volume rocker. It's easy to use, and it's fairly simple as well. So this device, as you can see, has a full 4-axis accelerometer that allows it to tilt in multiple directions, and the benefit of that is it allows you to use it in multiple viewing angles. So if you want to read a book, this is going to be your natural perspective. If you want to do, when you're talking to family or friends, you're going to hold it like so you can position the volume rocker accordingly. The back is very generic, plastic. This is a fingerprint magnet, so it will have a lot of grease by the time you're done with it, so do make sure you have a cloth to clean off as you go along. Now, in terms of the disappointments, we found that the resistive touchscreen was actually okay. It's fairly responsive, actually. It's not that bad. You do have to apply a lot more pressure, though, so if you're used to something like an iPhone, this will be a whole new learning experience and a learning curve. So it's definitely not going to be that. But you're also paying something that's considerably lower priced, and it's super, super cheap. At this price point, it's pretty astounding what they managed to do. With an over 1 GHz CPU, it's still fairly speedy. As long as as long as the screen registers your taps. The CPU underneath the hood makes the animations and things run really smoothly, and it's a very enjoyable experience. Some people might think a 7-inch tablet is a little bit small, but we did find that the screen was actually adequate. As you can see, contrast and things are really sharp and bright. It's really vibrant, and there's no lag between your menu and navigation as well. Now, the screen itself, the resistive layer is a matte finish, which allows you to read and use this device in outdoor conditions. But it does make it sometimes a little bit harder to use on your finger because it's not like a glass. It's not as smooth. So the first time you get it out of the box, it might feel a little bit rigid. But as you use it along, you can definitely get used to that point. Also, a thing to know is that when you first take this device out of the box, it does not alert you to calibrate the screen. Now, this is not a good thing because when you first boot the device up, the screen is misaligned and not very easy to use. But after you calibrate the device, which you press App Drawer, and then you find calibration. After you calibrate it, the screen actually becomes a lot more easier and finger-friendly, which is a thing a lot of people forget to do, and they end up thinking this tablet is horrible and horrendous. Otherwise, it's a very stock experience. It's very ice cream sandwichy in terms of you have your pages laid out like so, and this is a YouTube one where you can slide through between the different stuff. You can add apps and widgets by holding down. Let's just change the wallpaper as well. You get very basic wallpapers included, like a Nexus theme, and that also works pretty well. It's pretty colorful and vibrant again. Now, a thing you will notice about the screen, and the viewing angles are not that great. So if you're looking at this at a very extreme angle, and it's kind of ironic because the name is Xtreme, it becomes hard to see. But if you're looking at it from a left and right perspective, it's also very bright and it's very responsive. Just when you tilt it downwards, the screen gets a little bit black and dim. So just have that in your mind when you're using this product. So anyways, that's pretty much the interface, I guess. On the top left-hand side, if you haven't checked out our ice cream sandwich review, do check that out. The user interface is very generic on here. You have a Google search, which allows you to search something, and you type it in using the keyboard, which brings us to the keyboard. The keyboard on this product, again, just uses a stock one. That said, it is actually fairly responsive. We were thinking that because this device was going to be resistive, it was going to be horrible. Thankfully, Xtreme Tablet actually has multi-touch. You might be thinking, multi-touch? A resistive touchscreen should not have multi-touch. This actually has multi-touch, and we'll show you that in a moment. But anyways, you can do a lot of quick searches, and it is very responsive. Type in stuff, and you're ready to go. So let's just show you multi-touch as an example. See, let's load a picture in our photo album and just show you that way. So let's find something first. Using the camera, well, let's just take a picture really fast, I guess. Let's take a picture of a camera, and we want to shoot it, and it's done. So let's take a look at whether or not that photo was good. So our photo shows up like this. Our accelerometer isn't activated right now. It should activate. Hopefully. I might have to go and adjust that in a second, but this is our photo quality. We found that the 1.3 megapixel camera is nothing to write home about. It's not that good, but it is fairly accurate. Details are not that great, but the colors and saturation levels are actually fairly impressive for such a low resolution device. Now let's show you the multi-touch, which is probably the part that I'm most excited about because it's the part that I could not believe when I first saw this product. So if we want to zoom in, 2 fingers, and we can just zoom in. Let's also zoom out, then you just 2 fingers and zoom out. Zoom in, zoom out. Zoom in, zoom out. So multi-touch is actually fully working, and it's actually quite a responsive experience as well, which was something that I did not expect coming from a resistive touchscreen. In addition to Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, you also have GPS built into here. Now, the GPS chipset is a little bit weak, so if you're planning on using this as your navigation system, if you have a connection to Wi-Fi, which you probably won't at all times because this is not a 3G model, but it uses your turn-by-turn directions by Google services, and it does have the ability to lock into a GPS signal, so you can potentially have turn-by-turn directions, and the chipset is a little bit weak, but it works, and once you get it working, you will have it working. So other apps include a calculator, which again, it's a typical calculator, and until you want to use that as a Scientific, you tilt it using the 4-axis accelerometer. Very responsive accelerometer once again. Let's go back. So remember to calibrate the screen once you get it out of the box, or you will be disappointed. There's also a clock, a downloads bar for downloading stuff from the browser. There's a email client for Gmail and all your POP accounts, POP and iMac accounts. You have a file manager for your microSD cards and photos, a flash player for some basic video playback. It does work very well. It's very smooth on this product. The screen is pretty good at doing that, and the processor definitely keeps things moving along. Just don't expect the best of audio quality. In addition, you have Gmail for Gmail, Latitude, Local. Let's take a look at Maps in a second. MSN Talk, Music, which you can load a few songs into here and start playing. It's very basic and stock. And, of course, navigation. So, of course, like I said, it's a little bit hard to get to access the location, but if we just go into Maps and approximate, we can once again show you the multi-touch, which is something I like doing. So we are in Seattle right now, somewhere here, and you know, Maps is actually fairly fast to load. We can scroll around. Again, use your fingernails. It's going to be helpful here. No stylus is included in the box. If you want to get a stylus, that might be better for some people. Again, multi-touch to red bend, and we're zoomed in. So Ice Cream Sandwich, of course, has a lot more options in terms of maps and stuff and navigation. You have the option to drop down Local's Office and use the navigation bar directly from your left-hand side. You can also search by voice, in addition to Street View, which is a pretty fun thing to do. Of course, at all times, your home buttons are going to be on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, you'll always have access to your notification drawer, which you can always slide up like so, and access your battery level, your data connection, and your settings for auto rotation, and the screen brightness contrast settings. Now let's talk about some of the disappointments and the downfalls of this handset, because there's definitely a few. The first one is battery life. Now, the Xtreme tablet battery life, it's surprisingly mediocre. I have to say that it didn't last very long. If you're connected to Wi-Fi, it's going to only last you around 4 hours, less than 4 hours in a lot of instances of actual usage and playback. If you do a lot of YouTube and very heavy web surfing, if you're always connected to Wi-Fi, it's going to drain really fast. So compared to the 10-hour plus battery life of a lot of other handsets, you need to charge this a lot more. But if you can get over that, overall, it's still a very worthwhile pursuit and something to take a look at. Let's take a look at the web browser now. Speaking of, there is a second disappointment and downfall of this product, and that is you do not have the native app store. Now, you might have noticed this already, but that is a huge, huge drawback, which means you have to siloed apps, which isn't that huge of a problem for some people, but for me personally, because I'm very lazy, I don't want to go into my computer to download like Angry Birds and then drag it into this tablet by connecting it to my computer. So if you don't like using drag and drop, which, you know, it works fairly well on this product, if you just want to get the native experience, this tablet is not for you. You should just dish out the extra $50 to $60 and get the actual Google Nexus 7 or something like that. It's a lot better in terms of usability, but here we go. You also have a mobile YouTube client built right on in. YouTube is what you expect, and you also play HD video onto this device up to 720p video playback. The screen resolution is just an 800 by 480 screen, so you can find a little bit of pixelation, but not that much. And overall, it's, again, vibrant and bright. So if we play something like this and we want to load it, it will load in our native browser and hopefully start playing the video. Anyways, let's go into a different website and just to show you the web browsing speed in general. If we go to New York Times, you can definitely find our address. Again, the keyboard is pretty easy to use, and that's pretty much it. Other than web browsing, this device, we come to the full conclusion. It's a very cheaply made handset. It's only going to cost you $80, and MRSP retailers around the globe, around America, including Sears, which is actually pretty surprising because retail tablets are usually a lot more expensive than something that's this cheap. We did find some bright sides to this handset. If you are looking for a first-time tablet to play around with and goof around with, this is a great first-hand tablet because it has a lot of necessities. It has the basic core features that you'd want, and the processor isn't very slow. It definitely works actually really well for YouTube video and web browsing in general. As you can see, New York Times loaded a full page directly up, so it is impressive in that aspect. Again, another bright side is that although it is a resistive touchscreen, it does offer that full multi-touch experience. So if you're somebody who's looking for that, it works, and it's something that you can take a look at on this handset. Overall, though, it's a very basic device. If you are somebody who really needs that stock App Store, then this device is not going to be for you, because it does not include the Google App Store, and that's something that's disappointing and a downfall of this handset in general. In addition to that, battery life isn't the best, and the build quality obviously is not up to par of what you would want in a higher-end device, but overall, for the price, we are actually pretty impressed. And if you are looking for something that's cheap, hey, you get what you pay for, but this is something that's going to actually be a great first-time device, and you can browse the web, read a few stuff, and read books in Adobe PDF, download a few things, and place them via computer, browse the web, again, watch YouTube videos on, and it sure is going to be something that's really portable, small, and easy and fun to take around with you. So overall, would we recommend this device? Well, that really depends on what type of customer you are and what you're looking at on the market currently. If you're looking at the best value, we probably wouldn't recommend this, because to be honest, the authentic Google Nexus 7 is only around, again, $80 more. But if you're someone who's looking for something that's really cheap, probably the cheapest of the cheap that you can buy, go to a store and buy right now, then the Xtreme tablet is definitely something to consider, because again, it's inexpensive, it's disposable, it's a great media player, a video player, a YouTube player, and a web browser. If you can get away with, of course, the resistive screen, the shorter battery life, and the lack of the authentic App Store. So that's pretty much it. To sum up, please check out our full review of this handset on our website, osandvtxreviews.com. And thanks for watching. This has been our video review of the Xtreme by Mach Speed.